Hello there. Thanks for downloading this job search and interview mastery toolkit. I'm very excited for you to have this toolkit, and that's why I've created this instructional video so that I can go through this sheet and you can use it in the way that I was foreseeing, and that would also help you use this tool for the maximum advantage that you can get it from. So let's dive into this. So the first sheet is the instruction sheet. So this is just so that you can refer to it at any point of time and rather than going through the video. But then I'll go through it. And the instruction sheet talks about all the four key sections. First section is the career highlights, which is what you have done and you have put in your resumes. The second is on the technical questions. Third is the company profile, and the last one is the conversation notes. Now I'll go through each of these sections and I would kind of explain to you what they are for. I've given a brief summary overview so that again you can remember and you can refer to at any point of time. So the first one is career highlight. This is something that you put on your resume saying that you have achieved this. These are basically your achievements. So when you put a bulleted point in achievements, there are a lot of underneath the story, like the interviewer will be curious about what you did actually. So when you want to explain that particular information, you would want to put it in this particular format that's called the star format, where you talk about the situation that was there and what was the task that came out of it and what action you took to get the results and what was the actual results. People tell that you need to tell a story in an interview. Now it's very hard for normal people, like especially for techies, right? How can I tell a story? So the way you do it is using this star technique. What that gives, it gives that structure. When you speak in this particular structure, it gives that feeling of listening to a story, and that creates a powerful impact on the interviewers. So I've given that as an example, and you can add more career highlights in that particular section. Similarly, there are some common questions which you know that these are going to be asked, like your strength, weaknesses. Tell me about yourself. Say the same scenario. I have given an example. This is my strength, and in one of the project, again talk in the star format. Then there is weakness. Again, this I consider this as a weakness, and then I've identified in this particular situation, and then you give more example, and I've taken below actions, and it is still work in progress. So that kind of tells them that okay, what's your weakness is, what how you identified that as a weakness, and what situation you have found it, and what are the actions you're taking. So it gives them the complete picture as to where you are. The next one is tell me about yourself. Yes, in this one, it's better to always emphasize the most recent experience, last 2 to 3 years or 3 to 5 years, based on the number of years of experience that you have. And the reason is simple, right? You will be more be able to talk more about your recent experience than the one that are like way far too way back in your memory. And again, the interviews are also interested in you being applying the recent skills that you have rather than the old skills which are lying there in the deep recesses of your memory. The other important part is ending with a personal note. So when you are trying to end with that personal note, you want to talk about something that is interesting, weird about yourself, so that the person can connect you at a different level rather than only on that professional level. So you can talk about what your passion is, or about say you're doing something weird, or you're preparing for a marathon, or you have a particular signature dish that you cook for everyone, which everybody likes about it, or you're looking at doing some adventure activity, or you already have done something out of the world that you feel that was a really great achievement for yourself. So anything that's interesting, not out of the box. Like don't tell that I like reading. No, that's a very generic statement. You can kind of specify that I like a particular author's novels, or I have and I saw this Netflix series, and I saw this particular series was produced by this particular author, and I'm reading those books for now. So those are some of the things that you can look at. And then there are the common questions. So similarly, for those common questions, you try to give an answer from your experience. The next one is on technical questions. Now, if you had attended my webinar, I talked about this. Having any technical questions are generally fall into these three buckets, like fact-based questions, which is just to test your knowledge and your concepts. Second is opinion-based questions. What do you think about X versus Y? Because in technology, most of the time we work with constraints and we work with multiple options that we have. And the last one is scenario based questions. These are the ones that they want to test you whether you can think on your feet and how do you actually process your thinking. So I've given some of the examples and how you can answer them. Again, you as we discussed in that webinar, you need to talk in a way where you do give the concept, especially for fact based question, you answer the technical part of it and then layer it with your experience. Similarly, with your opinion based questions, talk technology, talk about both pros and cons of this one is SQL based database and NoSQL based database, and then put in your experience. If you don't have experience, tell them I don't have experience. This is from the thing that I've read, and if you have experience, do add those details so that people understand that you have worked on it and this is what you're thinking about it. And the last is scenario based questions. Again, these you might have captured it or you might not have captured it. Try capturing it as many as possible, so that when you are giving an answer, it's not you have to make up the answer based on what you know and everything. But if you have got a certain set of questions, you can obviously use them. And if something new comes up, you can make them up. But at least you're prepared for the questions that you already thought about and or you already researched on top of it. Again, the key is that you layer the question with first a technical analysis, saying that this is the technical part of it, and then introduce your personal element where you're talking about your experience with that particular scenario and what you don't have experience, so that people know, okay, this is where you are, and this is where you are not there. And that what happens is that then people focus on things on what you know, which are based on your experience, and that is what you want to do. As I talked about that in that webinar, that you need to give them the opportunity to talk about things you already know rather than things you don't know, and this is how you do it. The next one is researching on company profile. Yes, you do research and try to put those things in this particular format. It will give you an idea and things to talk about when you go into an interview, because there's always a question saying, do you have any questions for us? And you can ask based on your research and so on. One pro tip, sometimes, you go through a website and you really don't understand the business, and it has happened to me. So you can talk about it saying, I did go through a website, I went through these sections, but I actually did not understand what you guys are doing and how you're working on it. So can you please explain, kind of a thing. So that would, being honest and being open about what you found, it kind of gives a, I mean, it easily communicates that you have done your prep, but and you have done your research, and you're interested in this company. And it also gives the interviewer a chance to explain about what the website talks about, and they can talk more about themselves, and everybody likes to talk about themselves. So that's the good thing where you're encouraging that. The last section is the conversation notes. Conversation notes is basically a record or an audit trail kind of a thing, where you list out the details of the interview that you just had, and you give like what are the questions that were asked, so that you remember them, then what are the answers you provided, and just reflect back on how it resonated, whether it resonated with them or whether it did not, it just fell flat and they just moved on to that question. So that would tell you that what went well and what did not go well, and what are your notes, what are your feelings, about how the person is, how the company looks like, and how you felt in that company, and then how your interview went. Chat those notes around it. So what that does is it gives you a record as to how you're doing it. And now when if you've gone through like 3 rounds of a interview of within the same organization, and when you go for the fourth round, you suddenly start seeing a pattern as to what are the words that they're using, what are the questions they are expecting, and what are the answers they are expecting. And that would help you prepare for further interviews. And over a period of time, this becomes your knowledge repository, and you can tweak your profile based on the questions people are asking, based on the answers you are giving. And you can tweak your resume, you can improve on your interview skills based on these notes. So that's why I encourage you to keep this record as much as possible. The best time to do this is just after the interview. You can journal it down, because this is a Google spreadsheet, so you can put it on your phone and you can just type it in your phone pretty quickly just after the interview, because that would help you to register the fact at that point of time when it's pretty raw and you have all the feelings around it. So those are the tips to use this particular spreadsheet. So that was all about it. So thank you for listening to it, and yeah, hope you find this very useful. And do put in your review, comments, and feedback, so that I can improve this further if I get those kind of feedback. And also let other people know that this is a tool that they can use for their interview preparations, and they become better at their interviews, and they also get a job. So more people can use it. Yeah, thank you. Bye.